Good evening. My name is Wyatt Gantz, and this is my informative speech, and this is my audience. Good evening. My name is Wyatt Gantz, and today I would like to tell you about a quote that I learned as a child from my mother. The quote goes like this: "Everything in life can be traced back to either God or Disney." Now, what are the commonalities between God and Disney, you might wonder? They both tell stories, riveting stories of the battles between good and evil. Now, what sets these stories apart from the rest of the narratives that have been told throughout history? They're heroes. Now, what do heroes have to do with us? Heroes permeate our culture and they engulf us as a society. Myself, as a fan of heroes from Star Wars and Marvel, decided to do a little bit of research into what it is that creates a hero. So today, we're going to be going on a journey. Not a journey to a galaxy far, far away or to a school full of wizards and witches, but rather we will be going on a journey that exemplifies heroes, a journey that shows the evolution of these heroes, and a journey that shows our emotional attachment to these heroes. Therefore, let's go on the first leg of our journey and show how heroes are exemplified. To begin, heroes come from unlikely places and typically have a set characteristics that make them unique in society. So to begin with the unlikely places in which they come from, let's take a look at the Scholastic Super Science article from February 8th, 2017. This article highlights the life of Katherine Johnson and how she overcame obstacles. She was a black woman from the 1940s, pre-civil rights and equal rights movements, and worked outside of her prescribed field. What she was a mathematician that worked for NASA, determining the trajectory of the spaceships. She overcame these obstacles and was known for what she did. She was known as a human computer, and this is a perfect example of how heroes overcome the obstacles placed before them and are known by what they do. Moving on to how hero characteristics are exemplified, let's take a look at a hero's sentiment. The hero's sentiment has two main forms, beginning with their fortitude, which is their integrity and ability to withstand temptation, while at the same time their bravery. Now, taking a look at their fortitude, we can look at that article from Catholic Digest from their December to January issue in 2019 to 2020, where it highlights how Superman is a perfect example of this perseverance. He is able to withstand both physical and emotional responses to problems. Meanwhile, while bravery exemplifies a kind of overcoming of fear. Heroes cannot be defined by fear and must be defined by their courage. This can be seen in the article American Magazine, December 5th, 2016, where they quote Eleanor Roosevelt by saying, "Look fear in the face. You must do the thing that you think you cannot do." This goes to show that heroes are defined by their bravery and courage rather than their fear. Now, this is only one portion of their characteristics. Their hero's kindness is also intricately part of what makes a hero. There's two different kinds of kindness. There's selfish kindness as well as kindness based on others. The selfish kindness is not inherently wrong. It's, for instance, a cop desiring to be paid for his job well done is a good example of selfish kindness. Meanwhile, their kindness based off of others is a form of altruistic kindness, which is defined from the New Scientist articles in December 14th, 2019, as an intentional action ultimately for the welfare of others. These are what separates the two different kinds of kindness. All of this culminates in a hero's vigor and their ability to complete actions. According to Psychologist Magazine of September 2015 issue, they discuss how there's two different types of action: immediate action and action based off of reflection. Immediate action is the kind of action that takes place after a singular event and has a gut response. Meanwhile, action based off of reflection is action that is based off of a series of events that culminate in a reflection, and then there is action that takes place. Now that we've seen how heroes are exemplified within the first leg of our journey, let's take a step into our next section of our journey and show the evolution of heroes through two different formulas: the superhuman formula and the painfully human formula. Now, according to the Smithsonian in their February 2013 issue, here the superhuman formula begins typically with a sob story. This sob story highlights a traumatic incident in the hero's life that accelerates their growth and their choice making, which results in an elevated sense of choice that we'll discuss in a moment. This then makes them unique from the rest of society, where they have undergone a traumatic experience where the rest of society has not undergone. This then goes into a sense of foretelling. This foretelling is where the hero's life changes dramatically, where they gain a new ability or power. This then causes them to play by a new set of rules. For instance, Spider-Man and how he's bit by a radioactive spider. This then goes into the decision that is made from that hero that puts them at the crossroads or between a rock and a hard place, where they must decide whether they will use their powers for themselves or for the good of others, making them either the hero in their own story or the villain in their own story. Now that we've discussed a narrative form of the superhuman formula, let's take a look at a more realistic formula to create heroes in real everyday life. The Painfully Human formula discusses origin stories, and these origin stories can be found in the life of young adults or young children that look up to a mentor figure. This mentor figure often is somebody that the child can reflect and grow into. So the child will begin to emulate this older figure, and they will learn from them to choose selflessness over selfishness, and they will become more and more of a hero. This then makes them more vulnerable, however, and is a learned trait from heroes. According to the New Scientist article in 2015, January 24th, 2015, they discuss how a study was reviewing 400 riskier people and 70 less riskier people showed that more of their values were compassionate. The riskier people's values were compassionate towards strangers than the less riskier people. And they discussed how it was a learned trait from their parents. All of this culminates in the idea that heroes can be primed or prepared. That it's almost a science to actually create a hero. The article also discusses how an interview with 300 different Jewish rescuers said that they came from nurturing, loving homes with an altruistic caretaker or role model with a tolerance for people that were different from them. This goes to show that it's a teachable trait to be a hero. Now that we've covered exemplifying heroes and the evolution of heroes, let's take a look at how our emotional attachment to heroes through their appearance, their role in culture, and their role in music is extremely significant to us as a society. Beginning with our emotional attachment to heroes and their appearance, you'll notice that in this image, none of the heroes are actually heroes, they're all villains. They all have some form of facial disfigurement. According to Scientific American article from September 1st, 2017, it discusses how 60% of the top villains flaunt a facial flaw. Now, if you look at this other image with 4 other heroes, none of them have any sort of facial disfigurement or any actual kind of disfigurement at all. This goes to show that within our imaginations, heroes are perfect. They are the ultimate desire and what we all aspire to be ultimately. Heroes also have costumes that identify them heroically within any sort of film or book or narrative or anything. Heroes look a certain way that causes them to be unique and stand out from everyday average people, as well as to capture the attention of people that see them. Now, a hero's role in culture can be seen throughout those two things because it's so important for heroes to be seen by their witnesses as well as to uphold the stories that are told about them. A hero's greatest job is to personify the heroic traits that are told about them throughout society. And this is ultimately what makes a hero known. And they are to uphold that image of a almost mirror to inspire society to strive to be better. Now looking at a hero's role in our music, you'll notice that an example is that heroes inspire through the example of Disney's Mulan's Make a Man Out of You. In this song, it is almost like a question that causes the listener to push beyond their boundaries. They have to be a man, as the song says, and march on through the difficulties that they face. It also provides examples of how to be that man or that leader that they must be. And this is inspiring to the listener. Music also with Heroes is able to influence the listeners to where the composer wishes for the listener to go through the song. An example of that can be seen in the Binary Sunset of Disney's Star Wars. Though this has no actual lyrics, the song is able to inspire the listener to go to a certain place. Here's an example through the Binary Sunset. Now, I hope that you noticed how this music was able to crescendo and take you to a place where the composer wanted you. Overall, heroes are instrumental in our society, and I hope that you notice how they are exemplified, how they evolve, as well as our emotional attachment to them. I hope that you can see, all in all, that the life of a hero is a unique display that is an incredible depth at the core of who they are and who we are as society members. As my speech comes to an end, I hope that you can remember the value of heroes and that even you could become one someday.